we're here at Sir John's Public House in Kingston, a little bit ahead of Sir John's 200th birthday, or what would have been his 200th birthday. Obviously, this is a big moment for looking back on the significance of the man, what he meant. What should we be celebrating, I guess? We'll start there. What should we be celebrating this January when we talk about Sir John A?
I think you can compress it into a sentence. No Macdonald and none of us would be Canadians. There would be no Canada. All common sense at the time and the comments of people from outside Canada who knew something about Canada, and they were all either British or American, all took it for granted that Canada wouldn't last. It made no sense as a nation. We were so divided between English, French, between Catholic, Protestant, between Aboriginal and European, etc., etc. And Macdonald got us through that period when we were very, very vulnerable and could have just been lost like that. And that's a big debt.
The thing that strikes me the most about Macdonald is his optimism. He had a sense of Canada. He had a sense that something could take shape north of the United States, of this behemoth that was being created in the mid-19th century. And he had this idea that something good, something different could happen here. Yes, an idea of Canada, but through the highs and the lows, there's this optimism to the man that I find continuously attractive. Whether it's his personal life, whether it's his public life, he's always optimistic. He's the guy who's always asking, why not?
I think as a young person in Canada, looking at our nation where we are now, it feels like we have a lot of big challenges ahead of us in terms of managing aging population, having a generation of mine that feels very squeezed in terms of student debt and housing, and also thinking about future generations and the environment and the like. So it feels that we're facing a major challenge. And as Patrice was saying, Macdonald approached those problems without intimidation and asked for a big vision for Canada. And I think that's really important to remember this time, that sometimes you can bring a big idea and with a lot of great hard work can build something and overcomes seemingly insurmountable odds.
But what's interesting about him is that his ideas evolve in his life. His ideas towards women evolve. His ideas towards Catholics evolve. His ideas towards Aboriginal Canadians evolve. There's an evolution to this man. There's a march towards rethinking his own prejudice that I think, again, makes him a modern man, a man worth emulating. He was not without fault. We're all agreed on that. He's a human being. But he made the effort to sit back and say, am I really thinking the right thing here? Should we be thinking something different?
With John A., if people know anything about him, it's the fact that he enjoyed alcohol to a certain degree.
Considerable degree.
Other concerns get raised about him, scandal, his attitude towards certain races, his various issues get brought up. How should we deal with those things? Should we just sort of understand him in the context of the time? Should they be a major part of the discussion about who he was?
Well, it's part of him. He did drink more than he should have, and so on, and that's a fact of life. By the way, Ulysses S. Grant, Ulysses S. Grant was a complete drunk, but it's not something that the Americans go on and on about. We do about Macdonald. I don't know whether we're more puritanical, although we think of ourselves as less puritanical than Americans, but at any rate, I do want to say a couple of things about his drinking. One, he quit.
Yes, very important.
Which is damn hard for anybody to do. Today you've got all kinds of expertise, but it's very hard to quit, as if you know a friend or a family member or a co-worker or whatever. The other thing was there was a very good reason for drinking liquor in 19th century Canada. That was ordinary water was so appalling that if it merely gave you diarrhea, you'd done very well. And that was a practical thing. A lot of Canadians got drunk out of their minds so they wouldn't get a whole lot of diseases, because I won't go into the details, I would shock all your viewers and so on, but it was awful.
But Richard, it's important to remember that the drinking was so bad in John A.'s society that a whole temperance movement arose out of it. I mean, a social revolt against men drinking beyond what was reasonable. He's very much a man of his time, and as Richard points out, and I think it's important, is that eventually he did overcome that vice. And for me, that's the theme, one of the themes that of John A.'s that I think is so attractive is that here's this guy who, you know, who's born with a certain mindset in a privileged class, let's say, and then he moves into a privileged class. But what's interesting about him is that his ideas evolve in his life. His ideas towards women evolve. His ideas towards Catholics evolve. His ideas towards Aboriginal Canadians evolve. There's an evolution to this man. There's a march towards rethinking his own prejudice that I think, again, makes him a modern man, a man worth emulating. He was not without fault. We're all agreed on that. He's a human being. But he made the effort to sit back and say, am I really thinking the right thing here? Should we be thinking something different? And for me, I think he's an exemplar of that.
Is there some, you know, when we celebrate his 200th birthday, is there a lesson that John A. shows us or teaches us, or an ideal that we should have in mind on the occasion of his birthday? Is there something that is applicable to today that we can apply?
For me, it's think boldly. Think boldly. Take it on. Take a big bite. Move forward. For me, it's that optimism. This spirit of going further and asking why not? Why not? Why not do this? Why not try it? Why not? Why not try? I think that's, for me, that's the best legacy of Macdonald.
Should we do a toast to John A?
Yes. John A.
To John A.
We never die.
Yes.